how are you today? I hope you're having a good week. I'm going to do a little mouse reviews video today. It's been a while since my last one. Today I want to talk about The Last of Us. This is the US TV adaptation of the 2013 game of the same name. The series consists of 9 episodes and is set 20 years into a pandemic that took place due to a mass fungal infection where people have been and continue to be transformed into these mushroom creatures. It stars Pedro Pascal as Joel and Bella Ramsey as Ellie, two strangers who find themselves having to travel across the US together. Just to let you know before we start, this review will contain extremely mild spoilers. If you haven't seen the show yet and you want to go in completely fresh, I'd recommend not watching this video until you've seen the show. I was really looking forward to this show. I love the games. I've played the first game a couple of times, I've played the second game once, and I'm a fan of Ashley Johnson who plays Ellie in the games. I was a little nervous about the TV adaptation beforehand, although mainly excited, and I got a Now TV subscription for a month just so that I could watch it. I finished it the other day. I watched the whole series across a couple of weeks and I had the best time. It was so true to the games. I was very pleasantly surprised how true it was to the games. A few things were changed or elaborated on, but it never felt obtrusive. When I was watching, I was just thinking all the time, wow, this is exactly like in the games. And then later on I'd be thinking about it more and I'd be like, hang on, that was a bit different, that was tweaked. For instance, the way the infection spread was different. In the games it's all about spores and they're wearing gas masks a lot of the time to stop themselves from getting infected. And of course that changed in the series for, I assume, the obvious reason that you want to see the cast. But it took me so long to notice because everything else just felt and looked so right. I mean, honestly, I was really impressed. I think it's kind of a masterclass in how to do an adaptation. How you make the changes that you need to so that the story works in the new medium, but without deviating from the heart of the original story. I feel like it did a good job of keeping game fans like me happy whilst also adding and changing stuff to make it work better for TV and make things more enjoyable for those who haven't played the game. On that sort of note, I liked how in the TV series you were able to really delve into other characters' perspectives and viewpoints. In the first game we're only ever in the shoes of Sarah, Joel and Ellie, but in a multi-episode TV series there's more scope to branch out and see things that were only alluded to in the game. This is perhaps most evident in episode 3 where we spend the majority of our time with Bill and Frank, and also in the final episode when we get to see Ellie's mother, played by Ashley Johnson, which was completely brilliant and perfect casting. I loved all of the roles and cameos for actors from the games. They were so great and it just felt throughout the show like the show had been made by people who had either made the games or loved the games, and everything that I've read about the production suggests that that is the case. And sometimes there'd be locations and I'd be like, I remember that. I remember being there. It was such an interesting feeling. Video games are so immersive compared to most other forms of storytelling, which is why I love them. You are the player character. You are experiencing the things that they are experiencing, and seeing it come to life on screen after having spent so long immersed in that story was so much fun and so interesting. And it's my first experience of that because other game adaptations I've seen, they've been further removed from the source material, you know? I'd be like, I remember this hospital. I was stuck here for so long. Mouse, you know you weren't actually there, right? No, I was. It's exactly how I remember. And the giraffes? And Joel and Sarah and Tommy in the truck at the start, and the steakhouse in episode 8, and the other hospital with the monkeys. There were just so many moments that just felt how they were in the games. And Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey as the main characters, I loved their portrayal. They were just them and I loved their relationship together. I felt like they were so true to the game characters, but they also added their own elements to them, and it must have been a lot of pressure. They're well loved characters and they're well known characters. You'd have to think that quite a lot of the audience watching the show would have spent a good deal of time playing them. So they had that whole thing to deal with, and not even taking into account the video games, these two characters just carry the show. They carry the story. They pretty much bear the weight of the entire plot. I'd be interested to know the percentage of the show where the only performers on screen are one or both of them. And I'd also be interested to know the longest period of time in the show we go where the only speaking characters are them. Anyway, I got a bit distracted. I felt the show was well paced and well written. The only time when I even thought about pacing at all was in the first episode, after we'd moved to 2023. the bit of time before Joel and Ellie met. I was waiting for them to meet, you know? But apart from that, I felt like the pacing was just right. I didn't even notice time passing. And it was a funny show. This may sound weird, but I was expecting the show to be more violent and scary. It had its moments, episode 8 springs to mind, but I don't know, sometimes after watching something in this genre, I feel like I need a rest at the end. I need to watch a comedy or something before I can do anything else. But this show was full of lighter moments, moments of relief, and I really loved that. It makes the more sinister parts pop out when they do appear. It doesn't all have to be doom and gloom and death. And that's true of the games as well. You know, it's a serious story, the stakes are high, there's a lot of death and violence, but there's also plenty of humour and hope and friendship and fun. But I was more surprised about that in the TV show because, you know, it's a much shorter time period to tell the story. I was expecting it to be more sort of violence, sad, shock, screaming, death, violence. But there were so many enjoyable parts as well, and I would say more fun and enjoyable parts than there were shocking, sad, or violent parts. Anyway, as you may be able to tell, I really enjoyed The Last of Us. I really can't wait until season 2 now. Very excited about it. I think it's my favourite game adaptation ever. I don't even think it's close. And I think it's one of my favourite adaptations of any kind ever. If more adaptations took the route that this show took, I think that I'd be less worried just in general about adaptations of things that I like. I like adaptations. I enjoy seeing different takes on the same story, but there's always something in the back of my mind where I'm worried that it's going to be disappointing and I shouldn't get my hopes up. But this one was a very, very good one. I will give The Last of Us, the TV series, 4.7 out of 5. I would really love to know what you think about the show if you have seen it. If you've played the game before or not, how did you find it? Did you enjoy it as much as me? Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you had fun. I'm going to go now. I hope you have a lovely week, and let's move across to the end screen. If you'd like to see my latest video or some more review videos, then you can do that below me here. And if you're interested in subscribing to my channel or visiting my website, then you can do that beside me here. And there's a link to my Patreon page in the description below if you fancy it. Have a great day, stay safe and well, and I will see you soon.